the dawn's early light. What's up?
After I finished the history of 4Kids Part 2 back in 2015, I didn't really feel like there needed to be a Part 3. Everyone was telling me that I forgot about stuff like Magical Doraemon, Mew Mew Power, and things of that sort, but all I really wanted to do was to go over the basic history of the company from their humble beginnings to their sour end. And overall, I thought I did a pretty good job of doing so, but that was only until I remembered that I forgot one of the most important aspects of the company's overall history, and that's that they're still alive today in more ways than one. So get ready as we finally finish covering the history of 4Kids Entertainment with the History of 4Kids Part 3. So in order to tell you how this whole thing is true, we'll have to backpedal a little bit back to when 4Kids filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection and started selling off their properties before becoming 4 Licensing Corporation, with 2 of those properties being the licenses to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series and their production house 4Kids Productions based in New York City. The production house in question produced all their dubs and original productions back when they were 4Kids, so obviously that production house was a pretty big purchase for any company that got it. Now, of course, as we all know, the Yu-Gi-Oh! License was bought up by none other than the pachinko lovers known as Konami, who had been doing the video games and trading card games for Yu-Gi-Oh! For years. But what hasn't been said before was that Konami actually also purchased 4Kids Productions around the same time as their Yu-Gi-Oh! Acquisition. So yes, the studio that produced the many dubs that people have loathed throughout the company's entire existence was resurrected with a simple purchase and was renamed 4K Media Inc. around the same time that 4Kids Entertainment became 4 Licensing Corporation. So yes, even though 4Kids was proclaimed dead as of August 18th, 2012, they still continued to live on in not one but 2 companies, with a large majority of the people who worked at 4Kids Productions still being employed there after its change of name and owners. However though, the 2 companies have not worked together since their rebirths and have had no involvement with each other as of the making of this video. Now, while that may seem a little obvious, there is a pretty big reason as to why 4 Licensing Corporation and the house that it once built no longer work together, and that all has to do with a certain property involving an intense card game. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! If you couldn't tell. Yep, due to the fact that Konami also acquired the license to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime series when they were buying properties from 4Kids, 4K Media only produces English dubs of new Yu-Gi-Oh! TV shows and movies along with marketing the older seasons of the anime, and just in case you were wondering, they are still produced by the same production teams that produced all of those 4Kids dubs several years prior, which includes the usual New York talent pool of voice actors. So if you didn't enjoy the English dubs of the older Yu-Gi-Oh! Seasons, chances are that you're not going to enjoy the dubs of the newer seasons due to them being dubbed by the same people with some omissions. Now, while that's all fine and good for all of those who consistently enjoy the Yu-Gi-Oh! English dubs, the real question is whether or not it was profitable for Konami to even purchase 4Kids Productions in the first place. Well, the answer to that question seems to be, I guess. I mean, ever since 4K Media started dubbing the newer Yu-Gi-Oh! Seasons starting with the second half of Zexal, they've never had to stop doing them because of any financial reasons, so that may seem to be good news, but that may happen sooner or later due to the company's recent limited theatrical release of the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions. Now, while they were able to get all of the original dub cast to reprise their roles in this new film, the movie itself failed to really make any money at the box office, with the movie failing to chart on the box office during its 2-week release, despite being organized by the same company who organized Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods limited release, which means that the movie earned less than $5,000 on every day of its release, with One Piece Film Gold's limited theatrical release, which happened only a few weeks before it, outgrossing it by a large margin. That means that 4K either made a small profit from the movie or none at all, which either way is not a good thing. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise is pretty popular in the US, especially the original series, which is the focus of this new movie, so it seems pretty disappointing that this movie didn't do that well. For comparison's sake, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, which was organized by Screen Vision Media, who also handled Yu-Gi-Oh!'s limited release as mentioned before, played on almost 700 screens and made over $2 million at the box office, while Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions played on over 800 screens and made far less than that. And if it really did do better than that, then Screen Vision would have recorded it on the box office results like they did with Battle of Gods. That really is depressing for both 4K Media and Konami, as it's a clear sign that the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise has very little life left in it nowadays. So yeah, you may be angry that the production house responsible for all those awful 4Kids dubs is still alive in this day and age, but they may not last longer, so don't get too angry about it. Well, at least 4 Licensing Corporation seems to be doing well. Oh fuck, it's happening again? Well, at the end of the day, you may be happy at the fact that these companies seem to be on their way out, with some more closer than others, which should at least hope that the people who work at both companies can quickly be employed for another job, because while you may hate 4Kids and their practices, they're not doing it nearly to the extent that they were back in the day, as The Dark Side of Dimensions was actually released uncut, and 4 Licensing Corporation doesn't license anime anymore aside from their license to Dinosaur King. We won't be seeing something like the One Piece 4Kids dub from them, which everyone is obviously happy about.
Your attitude's the pits. cherry, peach, or apricot.
So don't go around protesting them like people did a decade ago, because with the current state of both companies and their properties, along with the fact that the anime market in the US has drastically changed, it's just not worth it. There are many other companies who do great English dubs of anime and bring them out the way they were supposed to be, so I wouldn't get mad that 4Kids exists in some capacity nowadays, especially when it seems like they're on their way out. This company has just had a pretty rocky history, and it's only gonna get more rocky from here on out. Anyways, ladies and gents, that's it for now. I'm Skippy, and even though we finally wrapped up the history of 4Kids, we've only just scraped the surface of another company's not-so-hidden secret.
This January, monsters will rise. As good and evil collide. The Dark Side of Dimensions. In theaters January 27th.
It's time!